Well, the US and Taiwan have secured a long sought-after trade deal that has massive implications for the chip industry. Joining now with the details, we got Yahoo Finance tech editor Dan Howley. Dan, what do you make of it?
Yeah, it's obviously a big deal for Taiwan because they have this kind of albatross off their neck, and a big deal for the US getting more of this kind of onshoring when it comes to semiconductors. Obviously, this has been a big push since the Biden administration kind of began pushing that. They had CHIPS Act, and then the Trump administration kind of continuing this idea of getting more semiconductor capacity here in the US. So basically under the deal's terms, there's going to be direct investment from Taiwanese semiconductor and technology companies. That's of $250 billion. It's going to be new and direct investments. Then Taiwan's going to provide credit guarantees of at least $250 billion to help facilitate additional investments from Taiwanese enterprises. The U.S. tariff rate on Taiwanese goods dropping to 15%. The semiconductor capacity import may be up to 2.5 times more that of planned capacity without paying any Section 232 duty. So basically, these companies will be able to import, export more than previously without having to pay any of those duties. We're talking about this $250 billion, TSMC, the largest semiconductor manufacturer in the world, they're going to be a good part of this, right? I mean, they're going to be building fabs in the U.S. then, additional fabs. They already have fabs in the U.S. They're going to be building more, probably doing more R&D here as well. There was tension originally when they were trying to stand up some of the fabs in Arizona between the workers and the Taiwanese workers, trying to figure out how to kind of mesh the two different kind of cultures. And it seems to have finally worked out. I wonder, though, how much is going to be dedicated to the likes of NVIDIA versus Apple versus, Qualcomm. All these different companies use TSMC. So I think the next question is, at least for us, what gets built here? What chips? And so the focus is clearly on AI, right? And, the idea has always been kind of reshoring U.S. semiconductor capabilities to ensure that if something pops off between China and Taiwan, the U.S. isn't left without much capacity. And so now this shows that, okay, we'll have the capacity. Still obviously an issue for us if China and Taiwan decide to, come to blows. But I think for us more generally, on a calmer kind of footing, is this going to be Apple stuff? Is this going to be NVIDIA stuff? Who's building here? And I think that'll be an important question.
Do you think, Dan, I mean, you reference this, but this, as you know, there has been this big bipartisan push in Washington. Let's ramp domestic manufacturing of chips. Let's get more independent. When you see headlines like this, you see news like this, how much do you think, okay, this is helping in that effort?
I think there's actually been a lot of help in this effort. Does it mean that we're going to be the largest semiconductor manufacturer in the world? No. We fell off mega hard, right? President Trump says that Taiwan took the business. We just ceded it. We just said, all right, we're good. AMD used to be able to manufacture its own stuff. They broke that arm off. A lot of companies decided to go fabless. And so that just kind of said, okay, well, Taiwan's got this great technology. We'll just scoot over on there, right? The U.S. still has semiconductor manufacturing capabilities, Global Foundries being one of them, which is what was the manufacturing arm of AMD. But, more recently with these pushes, we've seen more investment. Intel obviously investing more, as I said, TSMC, Samsung. These companies are all continuing to make their own investments, but we're not going to be the largest, if that's the goal, for quite some time. And I think really the goal is just to ensure that there's still a steady flow in the U.S. no matter what happens. It's kind of like saying, all right, well, we should be able to build our own, make our own steel here. God forbid we can't access it somewhere else. So it's kind of the same idea. We have oil here, we have chips here. Pat Gelsinger, former Intel CEO, used to say, chips are the new oil. And that's pretty much what it comes down to.